My girlfriend said, "From now on, I'll decide when we meet. Stop pressuring me." I didn't say a word, just nodded quietly. 3 weeks passed. No messages, no calls, no meetings. Then one evening, there was a soft knock on my door. I opened it. She was standing there, eyes glistening, and in her hand was something that made my heart stop. I'm 32, and up until 4 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I'd been with Chloe for 3 years. We met at a work networking event in Minneapolis. She was a marketing manager. I work as a financial advisor. Not the most exciting job, but decent money, stable life. We'd been living together for the past year and a half in a nice 2-bedroom apartment in Uptown, split the lease 50-50. We had our routines: Sunday brunch at that place on Hennepin, Wednesday movie nights, weekend trips to her family's cabin up north. We had a joint savings account with about $8,500 for our eventual wedding and honeymoon. I'd even been looking at engagement. Rings, had my eye on a $4,200 princess cut at a jeweler downtown. It felt right, safe, like the next logical step. Then around January, things shifted. She started working late more often, stopped texting back as quickly. When I'd asked to see her, she'd say she was exhausted or had plans with coworkers. I'll admit, I got clingy. I'd send multiple texts asking when we could hang out, suggesting dinner plans, trying to lock down our schedules. Looking back, yeah, I was being pushy, but I felt her pulling away and didn't know how else to respond. The worst part was how she made me question everything. Was I really being too demanding? Was wanting to see my girlfriend of 3 years more than once a week unreasonable? I started doubting my own perception of what normal looked like in a relationship. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was suffocating her just by existing in the same space we'd shared for 18 months. One night in early April, we were at our apartment. I'd brought home Thai food from her favorite place on Grand Avenue and suggested we watch something together. She barely looked up from her laptop. "Can we talk?" she said, closing the screen. "Sure, what's up?" She took a deep breath. "You've been a lot lately. The constant texting, asking where I am, wanting to make plans every other day. It's suffocating." I felt my stomach drop. "I just miss you. We barely see each other anymore." "That's because I need space," she said firmly. "So here's what's going to happen. From now on, I'll decide when we meet. Stop pressuring me. I'll reach out when I'm ready." I wanted to argue, to tell her that relationships are supposed to be mutual, that this felt like being put in timeout. But I also didn't want to lose her. We had 3 years together, shared finances, a lease that ran through October. The ring I'd been planning to buy felt like a weight in my chest, a reminder of how wrong I'd read everything. So I just nodded. "Okay," I said quietly. "I'll wait." She softened a little, reached across and squeezed my hand. "Thank you. I just need some breathing room." That was April 12th. I remember because it was tax deadline day, and I'd been stressed about client portfolios all week. The first few days weren't terrible. I kept myself busy, went to the gym more, caught up with my buddy Jordan, who I'd been neglecting, threw myself into a big portfolio restructure at work. But by day 5, the silence was deafening. No good morning texts, no random memes sent during lunch breaks, nothing. I checked her social media. Stupid, I know. She was still posting pictures of coffee cups, her workspace, a sunset from downtown Minneapolis. She was fine. Just fine without me. Meanwhile, I was analyzing every interaction we'd had over the past 3 months, wondering if I'd imagined the connection we used to have. Was I crazy? Had I been living in some fantasy version of our relationship while she'd been miserable? The more I thought about it, the more I convinced myself that maybe I really was the problem. Maybe normal people don't want to spend time with their live-in partner. Maybe I was some kind of clingy freak who didn't understand boundaries. By day 10, I was barely sleeping. I drafted maybe 50 texts and deleted every one. Jordan told me to just move on, that she was clearly done but too coward to say it. But I couldn't accept that. Not after 3 years, not with our lease, our savings, our plans. Not when I still couldn't figure out what I'd done wrong besides wanting to be around the person I loved. Day 21, 3 full weeks. I'd just gotten home from work, loosened my tie, poured myself a bourbon I didn't really want. It was around 7:30 p.m., already getting dark outside. I'd stopped checking my phone obsessively around day 15, finally accepting that she meant what she said about controlling when we'd meet. Then I heard it, a soft knock at my door. My heart jumped. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it, and there she was. Chloe, standing in our hallway, eyes red and glossy like she'd been crying. She was wearing jeans and an oversized sweater, hair pulled back messily, and in her hands was a white plastic bag from CVS. "Can I come in?" she whispered. I stepped aside. She walked past me, set the bag on our kitchen counter, and just stood there, arms wrapped around herself. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She turned to me, and I saw tears streaming down her face. "I'm pregnant." The room tilted. I grabbed the counter to steady myself. "What?" "I'm pregnant," she repeated, voice cracking. "I'm 3 weeks late. I took 3 tests. They're all positive." 3 weeks late. My brain started doing the math automatically, a habit from years of financial planning. We hadn't slept together since early March. It was now early May. The timeline didn't work. I should have felt something. Joy, panic, anything. But all I felt was confusion. We'd been careful. She was on the pill. And we hadn't even been intimate in over 6 weeks. "Chloe," I said slowly, we haven't been together since March." She looked down. "I know." The silence stretched between us like a chasm. "Then who's—" I couldn't finish the sentence. She sobbed, covering her face with her hands. "His name is Quincy. He's a corporate photographer I work with. It started in January, just once, I swear. Just one stupid mistake after we had drinks following a client meeting. I thought it was nothing, that I could just bury it and move on. But then I missed my period and I held up a hand. Stop. Just stop." My brain was trying to process this. January. She'd been cheating since January. All those late nights, all that distance, all those times, she made me feel like a needy boyfriend for wanting basic attention. It wasn't about needing space. It was about covering up an affair. So the whole "I need space" thing, I said, my voice eerily calm. That was just you trying to keep me at arm's length while you figured out what to do. No, I mean, yes, kind of, but I was confused. I didn't know how to— "Get out," I said. She looked up, startled. "What?" "Get out." I walked to the door and opened it. "Take your tests, take your confession, and get out of my apartment." "Please, just listen." "There's nothing to listen to," I said, still holding the door. "You cheated. You lied. You made me feel like I was the problem for wanting to see my own girlfriend. And now you're pregnant with some other guy's kid. We're done." She stood there for a moment, tears streaming, then grabbed the pharmacy bag and walked past me. She paused in the doorway. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I closed the door in her face. I didn't sleep that night, just sat on our couch staring at the wall, replaying every moment of the past 3 months. Every excuse, every deflection, every time she made me feel crazy for wanting to spend time with her. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't clingy. I was just a guy who'd been systematically lied to and manipulated. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I went through every digital trace I could find, old texts, social media, emails. That's when I found Quincy's profile. Corporate photographer, mid-30s, pretentious bio about capturing authentic moments in business settings. He'd posted a picture 2 weeks ago with Chloe in the background at some marketing conference. The caption read, "Inspiring evening with inspiring clients." I felt sick, but then I noticed something in the comments. A woman named Diana had written, "Didn't know you were back to work events. Thought you and I were still working through things." I clicked on his profile again, scrolled further back. There she was, Diana, his girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend. The photos stopped around December, but there were no breakup posts, no indication they'd ended things. Recent photos showed them at Christmas parties, New Year's Eve. If they'd broken up, it was recent, or maybe they hadn't broken up at all. I took screenshots of everything, every couple photo, every comment, every indication that Quincy had been lying to Chloe, just like Chloe had been lying to me. 3 days later, Chloe texted me. She wanted to meet, said we needed to talk about next steps. I agreed to meet at a coffee shop near my office. Part of me was curious. Part of me wanted to see if she'd tell me more lies. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair unwashed. She'd lost weight in just 3 days. Part of me wanted to feel sympathy. The other part remembered why we were here. I'm keeping it, she said immediately before I even sat down. That's not my decision to make, I interrupted. It's not my kid. She flinched. I know, but I thought you should know. Quincy? He doesn't want to be involved. When I told him, he accused me of trying to trap him. Said he'd need a paternity test before he'd even consider it. Smart guy, I muttered. I deserve that, she said quietly. Look, I know I destroyed everything between us. I'm not asking you to forgive me or take me back. I needed you to know the truth, all of it. Have you told Diana? I asked. Her face went pale. Who? Quincy's girlfriend. Or is it ex-girlfriend? Hard to tell from his Instagram, she stammered. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshots. January through December. Plenty of couple photos. Christmas morning selfies, New Year's Eve kisses, Valentine's dinner just 2 months ago. So either he was cheating on her with you, or they were on a break and he failed to mention it. Chloe looked like she might throw up. Oh my God. Yeah, I said, standing up. Seems like we were both being played. Good luck with everything, Chloe. I mean that. I walked out before she could respond. 2 weeks after that coffee shop meeting, I got a message request on Instagram from Diana. She'd seen my comment on one of Quincy's old posts, something benign I'd left months ago, and somehow pieced together that I was connected to Chloe. Her message was straightforward. Hi, I know this is weird, but I think we need to talk about Quincy and your ex. We met for drinks that evening at a bar in northeast Minneapolis. Diana was sharp, direct, and angrier than I'd ever been. Turns out Quincy had been telling her they were working through things, that he needed space but still loved her, all while sleeping with Chloe. When Chloe had told him about the pregnancy, he'd immediately called Diana in a panic, confessing everything and begging for forgiveness. He said it was a one-time mistake, that she came on to him, and he was drunk. Classic, I said. Chloe told me the same story about it being just once. One time my ass, Diana laughed bitterly. They deserve each other, except now she's pregnant and he's freaking out about child support, ruining his photography career. We talked for hours, shared stories, compared lies, realized how much of our lives over the past months had been built on manipulation. She showed me texts from Quincy, identical to ones Chloe had probably received. The same lines, the same excuses, the same promises. By the end of the night, we weren't friends exactly, but we understood each other. We'd both been collateral damage in their selfishness. What are you going to do? I asked as we were leaving. She smiled coldly. Quincy's doing a big corporate showcase next month. Gallery opening, potential clients, the whole thing. I'm going to make sure everyone there knows exactly what kind of person he is. I didn't ask for details, didn't need to. It's been 4 months since that night Chloe knocked on my door. I haven't spoken to her since the coffee shop. Through mutual friends, I heard she moved back to her parents' place in Duluth. The baby's due in December. Quincy apparently signed away his parental rights after the paternity test. Confirmed it was his. Paid her a settlement, I heard around $12,000, to avoid future claims. Guess he decided his art career was worth more than being a father. Diana did exactly what she said she'd do. She showed up at Quincy's showcase with printed receipts, texts, photos, a whole timeline of his lies to both her and Chloe. She didn't make a scene, didn't yell, just handed them out like business cards to every potential client who walked in, professional and devastating. His career didn't exactly implode, but several corporate contracts backed out. Word spreads fast in Minneapolis business circles. Last I checked, he'd moved to Portland to pursue new opportunities. As for me, I'm doing better than I expected. I started therapy in June, worked through a lot of trust issues I didn't even realize I had. Turns out I'd been ignoring red flags for months, maybe even years, because I was afraid of being alone at 32. My therapist helped me understand that being alone is infinitely better than being with someone who makes you question your own reality. I had to break our lease early, which cost me $2,400, but it was worth it to not live in that space anymore. Too many memories, too many lies echoing off those walls. I found a studio apartment in Northeast, closer to work, completely mine. The engagement ring situation was awkward but manageable. The jeweler was understanding and bought it back for 70% of what I'd paid. That $2,640 became the foundation of my New Life fund. Jordan set me up on a coffee date in September with his colleague from the architecture firm. Heather's a project manager, straightforward, honest about what she wants. We've been seeing each other for 6 weeks now. She actually texts me back. She makes plans and keeps them. She doesn't make me feel crazy for wanting to spend time with her. Novel concepts, apparently. The best part is how normal it feels. No games, no manipulation, no wondering if I'm reading the situation wrong. When she says she needs to work late, she actually works late. When she says she wants to see me, she means it. I don't hate Chloe anymore. I don't really feel anything when I think about her, which is probably the healthiest sign of all. She made her choices, I made mine. We're both living with the consequences. Sometimes I wonder if she ever thinks about those 3 weeks when she had me convinced I was the problem. If she remembers how she made me doubt my own perceptions, my own needs, my own worth. But then I remember something my therapist said. You can't control someone else's conscience. You can only control your response to their actions. She chose deception. I chose truth. She chose manipulation. I chose boundaries. And in the end, that made all the difference.